Good evening, YouTube. This is Kayleen String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And this month is kind of semi-regular because last week I was at my younger nephew's wedding. And we had a great time. We went Saturday so that those of us who were part of the setup crew could do that. And because we were far enough away, we stayed a night in a hotel. And then Sunday, we did the final setup. And then we had the ceremony and the reception. And then we broke everything down. Went back to the hotel Sunday night. And then we came home Monday morning, which happened to be Labor Day. So that is why I was not live last Sunday. And then this coming Sunday, it depends on what time I get back from the White Eagle Powwow, which I will be volunteering with the Kids Crafts for. And if I end up staying a third night out there at the park so that I could help people start to break stuff down, or if I just get out of there pretty late, then I definitely will not be streaming. In fact, we actually end the event at around 5 o'clock on Sunday, the 17th, and then we start to break everything down, pack up the smaller stuff and things like that. So I'm going to show you what I got here. This is from the last box that I had gotten. And this is what I promised that I would open up tonight. I do not know who packed this because these bags do not show who packed it. It just says Humanitarian Daily Ration. And this one has a bit of a vacuum seal, so they kick some of the air out. And then this is, I got two of these. They're both identical. These are LaBriute. I pronounced it wrong when I opened up the box that I got from Mike Crasher in the video. But it's LaBriute. And they took over the kosher and some halal rations for use by the U.S. military. And they created a different accessory pack. It has some different items in it. Again, they will be identical, but it looks to be a much improved pack over what My Own Meals had done. So I got my water on the stove. Let's see, we got Enfos here, we got James Ortiz, we got LC. I'm going to switch to live chat because I had not done yet. The peelable seal is right here. It looks like this one is going to be cooperative because I'm not sticking my thumb through the bag. So here is the HDR card. Well, this is peas and tomato sauce. then this side has the nutritional info for that. But this retort is vegetable barley stew. And this one has peanut butter. The other HDRs have had sunflower butter in them, but this one has peanut butter. I would have thought this one would have the sunflower butter in order to avoid bothering those with any kind of nut allergy. But it is what it is. Got the accessory pack, which is very similar to what you would find in the halal MREs that are in the clear packaging. It's a shortbread cookie. Sometimes you get the oatmeal cookie that has a cinnamon flavor in it, and those are actually pretty good. Okay, here is the card for the vegetable barley stew. And I have not actually had either of these two entrees, so I'm very excited to try these. Brown sugar toaster pastry, but see, it says, might be hard to see this, but it says unfrosted. Here is the oatmeal cookie. So there are actually two cookies in here. That's a surprise. I would not have expected that. Okay, here we go. Sopacko packed this HDR, or at least packed the crackers. So this may have been done entirely by Sopacko. And here you can see the cookie was pressed against the retort pouch, which has the peas. And the last thing out of here is one strawberry jam. That is it for that bag. Because I have had the oatmeal cookie before, I'm not going to eat this one tonight. But I've never had the shortbread cookie out of one of these. I've only had the oatmeal cookie. Now, because these HDRs do not have any kind of a drink option, whenever these are given out, they are usually probably given water, and it looks like something leaked out of here or onto here. This has crushed red pepper, but this packet looks to be intact. And something got onto these matches. So these matches are probably compromised. And they don't seem to have the same base. You know, the strip across here that matches usually have, but it appears these might actually be intact. But they are definitely not clean. See, the salt packet looks completely clean, but the pepper packet got a little something on it. And you see 2 packs of sugar here. And something might have gotten onto this. The only other things in here is the spoon and the napkin. And it feels like something got inside of the napkin. So while this accessory pack was being assembled, the contents got exposed to something. So quality control was apparently non-existent on the day this particular bag was packed up, or at least this particular accessory pack was packed up. See, Tim Riley is here. Yeah, it's very hard to open this without ripping this napkin. There is my crusher in the house. So yeah, this accessory pack got a little bit messed up. So I'm going to put all these things aside. Now, in order to get at what I want to have for a drink option, see, this one does not even have the smoothies. That some of the other menus have had of these newer HDRs. So you get the LaBriute card. You get a mil-spec FRH. You can tell that because it actually says US on here. Get a pack of tissues. Another spoon. a vegan lemon cookie. Well, that's clean matches. Atlas Match does these. Roasted and salted peanuts. Barbecued chickpeas. Protein enhanced cocoa mix. So that would be my hot drink. And the last thing's out of here. And so that for a cold drink option, 2 packets of instant tea. It's a lemon tea, so that one of those will go into the drinking jar. The other one I'll save. And you get another wet wipe. And commercial catering style packets of salt and pepper. So that is what is in this particular accessory pack. So I guess there are some variations. So this lemon cookie may make an appearance in a future video or stream. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take these two. There's Booger Butt in the house. Scrolling back through the chat, make sure I didn't miss anyone. So thanks for dropping in. There's Deanna here. Thanks for dropping in. So I'm going to go put both of these into the pot. Actually, before I do that, I'll go ahead and open up the cocoa mix and put that in the mug. Whereas Mild Meals used to have coffee in their accessory packs, LaBriute is putting a protein-rich cocoa mix. The instant tea mix is very tightly packed in there, so that's what that looks like. I don't think that'll have any issues mixing up, so I'm not even going to do that yet. I'm going to go ahead and put these into the pot, and then I'll bring back the kettle for the cocoa mix, and we'll get that going. Now I'm going to mix up the instant tea. I'm going to go about there. That's probably a bit too much, but again, these tea packets did not give any kind of instruction on how much water to use. Now there's prep for it in the house. Haven't seen you in a minute. My phone was a little crooked, so I straightened that out. I'm using my Tupperware tray tonight because since I decided to have 2 entrees and I wasn't sure what the sides would be like. And just for a bit of a change, I brought out the old Tupperware tray that I got way back in 1983. So now that I've got a variety of different snacks, and I do want to try the shortbread cookie because I've never had the shortbread cookie out of these HDRs. I don't know what this particular one is like. Had shortbread cookies out of other rations, but this is my first time seeing one in the HDR. And this is packed by Sopacko. But since I opened up the LaBriute accessory pack, got some other options. And these Pop-Tarts appear to be a double pack because it feels like two stacked. And these are unfrosted. So I could either open up these barbecue chickpeas from the LaBriute accessory pack with salted peanuts and save these crackers for another time. These are the standard Amaret type crackers, just in the shiny wrapper. And then save the peanut butter and strawberry jam for another day. Probably save these Pop-Tarts for another day as well. Yeah, these usually are, and they're even a bit bent. You might not be able to see that, but I think you can kind of see that and hear that it might be a bit bent. But yeah, these, when they're double stacked, they're usually just stuck together, and you just end up eating it as one item. Yeah, so I will save that. Yeah, I can save this for another day. So I will open up the shortbread cookie. I'll slide the tray over here. Came out intact. No oxygen absorber. Well, this little bit did break, but that's okay. But since it broke, that is what it looks like on the inside. Smells like a typical shortbread cookie. Barbecue chickpeas. Nice tear notch right there. That one got an oxygen absorber. So you can see here has a LaBriute name on it. Yeah, some people will say that about people who have some kinds of injuries, or they they are temporarily disabled and can't work or do certain things, and they think they just want to stay home and do nothing. Then the other snack from the LaBriute pack is these peanuts. So we've got the crackers here. Might save these for another day, but I'm going to keep the crackers alongside here, just in case I might want to mix them with entrees. But then again, I could throw the chickpeas in there. Oop, let me fix that, I bumped it. Sorry about the weird movements, but there we go. And I've had this flexible phone mount probably since like 2012 or something like that, so or maybe even before. I don't remember exactly when I got it. This cocoa mix actually mixed up pretty well. Sometimes you mix them up and they got a lump sticking to your spoon. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 2 pouches out of the pot. I'm going to just move these here next to my tea, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Got a paper towel to dry these off. And the tare notch goes across this way, so I like to just shake the food down so that when I do rip it across, it doesn't create a mess. And that didn't rip all the way across, but this is the vegetable barley stew. Now I'm gonna get that thing way out of the way. I'm drying off the other pouch. That one ripped much better. But this is a peas and tomato sauce. But like the other HDR mains, actually I'm going to look at the date, the pack date on this. This has an X next to the 4. Get that to focus on there. So, but that's the only date that I could find on that one. And same with this one, there's a 9 as the first digit. So I'm guessing 2019 pack. And see, they look very similar in color. So this is a vegetable barley stew right here. And this is a peas and tomato sauce, but it doesn't look like green peas, so I'm guessing it could be like a black-eyed pea. Nope, they do taste like regular green peas. But they just look red because of the sauce. Sauce is kind of thick. It just tastes like regular pasta sauce. Vegetable barley stew. Very, very thick. Almost too thick to be a stew. It's just more like very thick sauce. Thanks for dropping in, Tim. And thanks for dropping in, Dave. And I'm sure LJ is probably busy with homework. Now this one is actually not too bad. There is enough of a difference in taste from the peas and tomato to the barley stew, but there is still tomato in here. There's potato. That right there appears to be a carrot. Yeah, that was a carrot. Very, very soft veggies. I'm going to try this protein enriched cocoa. It definitely tastes like a hot version of a protein drink, but it's actually not bad. I'm going to try some of these barbecue chickpeas. These are also known as garbanzo beans, for those who may not be aware of the difference. It's just a different name. The barbecue flavor is not very strong. You definitely get the chickpea flavor, and they got a good crunch to them. It's not a sweet barbecue. I'm going to try this instant lemon tea. It's not very sweet, but the lemon flavor is just enough to be noticed. And I might have used a little too much water, but again, when you don't have any idea as to how much water to use, you're just guessing. Neither of these are very salty, which is actually good. But yet sometimes you may be in a situation where you need to have salt or some way to replenish your electrolytes in order to avoid a dehydration. There is CT from north of the border. Unless he's roaming the states somewhere. Thanks for dropping in. This is a Humanitarian Daily Ration Menu 2. Packed by Sopacko. And this one had 2 cookies. The shortbread cookie, which is here. And then this is the oatmeal cookie. And these have a hint of cinnamon in them. And these are really good. I like these. Then the brown sugar Pop-Tarts, unfrosted and fused. This one had peanut butter instead of the sunflower butter. Some of these, like the 21 pack, probably have sunflower butter. They might have been just using old stock. And then this one has the strawberry jam to go with it. Now 1 pack of crackers. Oh, these are vegetable crackers. I just now noticed I hadn't noticed that these are vegetable crackers. Awesome. I love the vegetable crackers. You usually don't see these in the HDRs, but that is awesome. And then I opened up a LaBriute accessory pack. They are doing the kosher and some halal rations for the U.S. military. And this one also has dry roasted peanuts. This is barbecue chickpeas, so I opened those up. I wanted to open up one of these accessory packs on camera. These are part of that mountain of stuff that Mike Crusher sent me in that box that was seriously kicked around by UPS. And it nearly came open. Just a piece of tape just held it together enough to keep everything in there. And he posted a comment on that unboxing video that I got everything that he put in, so I didn't lose a single thing, which is good. But nevertheless, I did contact UPS about the outer box damage, and I sent Mike the pictures that I took. I still have those pictures because, yeah, I may need to send them elsewhere, but anyway. But nothing inside of the box was damaged, although the 2 candy bars are crushed, but that's okay. And one might have got heat stress, but I threw both of those in the fridge and then I just ate them like the next day. So I got some nice rations in my ration box. I'm going to mix these two together just for the heck of it. You almost can't tell which one is which by the color. They're actually pretty good together. And go for another handful of these barbecue chickpeas. Now, I heated them. Oh, in Ottumwa? Is that where you're meaning you're going to, Ottumwa, Iowa? I have actually never been to that town, but I knew some people who were from there. Okay, so that's a town you're in Minnesota. I've only been to a couple of places in Minnesota. Yeah. I've been to Minneapolis a couple of times, and I went to Faribault back in the, or like, I think 81 or 82. I was there. That's northern Minnesota. And then I went to a couple events in St. Cloud. No, actually, one was in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and then the next day we went to Indiana, a suburb of Indianapolis. I forget the name of that particular town, but we left St. Cloud and then went to that event in Indiana. And that was like a 95 or 96. But yeah, that's about as close as I've been. But last weekend, when I was out of town for my nephew's wedding, we stayed in a hotel in the town of Pella itself. And they had a pool, so I went down with my niece and my great niece, my niece's daughter. We went down to the pool. So the others were either staying up in their rooms or they had gone to the pavilion where the actual wedding took place and they did some initial setup. And then Sunday morning, that was Saturday night. We actually went there, but the actual venue is outside of like Knoxville. And it's near a place called Lake Red Rock. And that's a huge lake. So the Des Moines River connects to that. So had an awesome time. I'm going to throw a couple of these chickpeas on there. Just to give this a little crunch. The tomato sauce completely or nearly completely kills the barbecue flavor, and the chickpeas just soften up. You know, they're so light in this form. Let's see. That is what the chickpea looks like on the inside. So they're very light. They're not dense, unlike the corn nuts. So even though they're crunchy, they do soften up very quickly. So again, thanks to Mike Kreischer for sending that big old box of awesomeness. And I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. Crooked again. I was laughing at what Empfel said about CT being his favorite Canadian trucker, but he doesn't know any others. One YouTube channel I watch, Hedgehog Homestead, her husband is a truck driver, but he mostly does local routes. He may do some like neighbor state runs, but he never goes out of the U.S. He stays within the U.S. But when he's not driving his truck, he is driving the tractor around their new homestead, doing various things like laying gravel down or leveling some dirt or whatever. But I believe he owns his truck. He doesn't drive a company-owned truck. He just picks up the trailer, I think. I mean, he hauls perishable goods to grocery stores, so he may have an insulated trailer, or he may be delivering just your standard box trailer. It all depends on what his load is. I'm going to go ahead and sample the shortbread cookie. Wow, prep for it. That's pretty cool. That tastes a lot like a sugar cookie. Yeah, it's definitely, they should have called that a sugar cookie. Because it tastes like one. I have never seen rollerball. So I'm guessing you were an extra in that movie. I've never been in a movie, only on live TV a couple of times. That was way back in the 80s. Yep, so, wow, that was pretty cool. Even to be an extra in a movie will be a very interesting experience. A whole lot different than doing live TV where you're just a few minutes on the set and then that's pretty much it. Oh, dang, I've been missing some food videos. I might have to go check them out one of these days. Yesterday at my mosque, we had an open house, so I was busy with that. I was kind of like a kitchen runner. Although I really didn't run because the community room was just so full of people, but I would be sending out like resupply of napkins and little mini hot cups. Are about the size of those little bathroom cups that you might find in, say, the Dixie box in a store. But these are made for hot beverages. So we got a mess of them. And we got some plastic plates and napkins, which are black. And then we had the pre-packed utensil sets, which is a knife, fork, and a spoon. So we handed those out to our visitors, and we had all kinds of very yummy food. And you really had to have a strong will to avoid just chowing down on everything. Now, we invited some local politicians, but I think only one of them showed up. The only Muslim in the Iowa legislature was there, he is actually a member of my mosque. Although sometimes he goes to a different mosque in the city. But he was there, and we invited a candidate for mayor. And no, it's not Gil of Patton Family Compound or Gray Man Prepping. Wrong town. He's running for mayor of Basalt, Idaho. Not Des Moines. But I sent a personal invitation to a candidate for Des Moines mayor, but I don't know if he showed up or not. But yeah, we had a very good turnout. And it was good to get that going again, since the last time we did that was 2019. And then next spring we are going to work on Muslim Day at the Capitol. In fact, we have already got the date booked. When an organization or other entity wants to book time at the Capitol for an event, you have to almost reserve a year in advance now. Or at least 6 to 8 months ahead of time. So we've got that date booked, and because we want to do it when the legislature is in session, it's the best opportunity to have as many of the legislators and their staffs, as well as building staff, come down and enjoy some more delicious nibbles, because we always bring food. And we have several mosques and organizations represented. Halal Groceries usually has their own table there. That's the store where I get my halal meats and other things from. So we are going to be working on that, as well as some more upgrades, making the mosque a little bit more functional. We need to redo the electricity, the wiring in the building. The circuits can't handle the kind of loads that we would normally be putting on. So if we run the microwave, you cannot run any other high wattage appliance, otherwise you'll blow a circuit. But not the one in the kitchen, the one in another room. And I've been in that other room, that's our supply room, when someone blows a circuit. And I have taken my Olight swivels in there. They have magnets on them, and because the ceiling in part of that supply room is actually metal, and we have metal shelves in there. They're steel, so I can just use the magnets to stick it, or I can hang it because there's a hook on it. So I could hang it and provide light in that room, if the power gets knocked out. So I always have those at the ready during Ramadan, because, in and out of that room every day. And so Friday we had a new fridge delivered, and we're going to, probably in a couple of weeks, order a matching freezer. They're commercial grade appliances. So this new fridge has no freezer like the old one, and you can actually program the temperature in it. So we're going to get a matching freezer, and then eventually we'll get rid of the chest freezer because that can be a bit of a problem. If there's not much in there and it's down at the bottom, if you're short, you can't get at it. Unless you put a chair in front of it, stand on that in order to bend down into the freezer. But it still works. It needs defrosting every once in a while, but because this one will be a new one, we will not have that issue to worry about. And we're just doing projects as we are able to raise the money for them. Just to make everything more functional, bring it up to new standard. So very happy to have something that will be a bit more versatile. The shelves are adjustable, so you can set the height of each shelf. There's no door storage, but we're going to get bins to put in there because the shelves are wire shelves, not a solid material like a glass or plastic. So we'll get bins to organize all the stuff, and same with their freezer. Now, when I actually took out the bottom two bins of the old fridge because we needed to put something down way on the bottom because the rest of the shelf above that was already loaded. So I washed those up, and we've been keeping those in storage so we can use those to organize stuff. So hopefully it'll be a lot easier to maintain. Well, my chat just didn't do anything. Yeah, my chat just didn't do anything. I missed Smitty coming in. But I do thank Smitty and Spacey Tuner Rolls for dropping in. I don't know why my chat just didn't do anything. I think no one's saying anything. I don't know what's up with that. This one is actually not new. This is from 1983. My high school class was having a Tupperware party as a fundraiser to earn some money to put towards our senior trip. So this was during my junior year when we did this. And so we had all kinds of Tupperware items. And I had this tray in my mind. No one else was interested in it, but I was. So I bought the tray for myself, and I bought a couple of things for my mom because she was avid into using Tupperware at that time. She still has a few of her original pieces that she has had for years and still uses them. So this is the only legit piece of Tupperware that I personally own. Anything else I bought or won at bingo went to my mother. But yeah, I have had this since 1983. It didn't get used very often until I got into rations after I won that MRE. I think back in 2017 from Sticky Finger 749. And I decided that I was going to open it on camera and review it. And I don't need to buy a tray, I got this one. So I used it. I'd only taken it to a couple of events since then where I had to bring my own tableware. But until I got that green tray, this is the only tray that I had used for my reviews. But I switch off between this one and the green one. I have a stainless steel tray, but I have not used it. I actually bought two of those, but I gave one to a local. Someone had given him some MREs, so I thought it would be fun to give him a tray that he could put those MREs on if he wanted to actually do a video review of them. But he never did that. He just kept all of his greenhouse, garden, farm stuff, and occasional shelter build episodes. He started to build a shelter in a small forested plot that he personally owns, that is not owned by the family, for their farm and orchard. So he has a couple of videos on that. That is Steve Brahms. He has come into my chats occasionally. But during the summer, they are busy with probably like 5 or 6 farmers markets. Or it could be 7, I don't know. But they sell in local farmers markets in and around his area. And they do individual private sales. And I and others have camped on their property. They have an area by a pond. They own the pond all the way around it. And so you have to get permission to fish that pond. I've never fished it, but eventually I will. Maybe next time I go down there, if it's not froze over, I'll fish that pond. But that steel tray, something will happen with it. I just haven't figured that out yet. So I'm basically just keeping a lid on it until I figure out what is going to be done with that tray. It's one of those round ones. It's a big round one. I think, is it either Smitty or Tracy Phillips has one of those. I don't remember which one of those guys has one of those round trays that's it's about as wide as this one, but big around as your average, say like a large pizza. Yeah, Tupperware still makes these, I believe. I have seen them in local thrift stores as well as on eBay. I had kind of kicked around the idea of getting another one, maybe in a different color, but I just haven't done it. But I believe they actually called it a lunch tray, because I have not looked on a Tupperware website if it is actually still being made, but you can find the older ones, say like from 80s and 90s on eBay. I don't remember at all what I paid for this when I bought it during our fundraiser. I think it might have been maybe $5. I have no idea. I'm sure if I had never used it at all, it would probably be worth a whole lot more, but to me, it's just priceless. Because it helped us get to do our senior trip back in the spring of '84. We went to Hannibal, Missouri for the first night of the trip. And then from there we went on down to St. Louis for the remainder of the trip. And we had an invite from a local group, a school down there, to go take in a Cardinals game. They played the Dodgers in the old Busch Stadium that was by the arch. So where we were sitting, I could look up over the rim of the stadium and see the top of the arch. And we gone up into the arch, and then we toured the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. And there were a couple of Clydesdales in the round barn, so we did get to see them. Yeah, so yeah, the purchase of this tray contributed to that trip. Even if it was just a few dollars that I paid for it. Well, thanks for checking that. So apparently they have been discontinued. So, so if you want to find these trays, you have to either look on eBay or other secondhand sites or try thrift stores. I hope you had a good dinner. Just going to be munching on my chickpeas. Oh, Elsie, that sounds like it would be a good set to give a kid. I'm assuming that is designed for kid use. Or if you're into just the Mickey Mouse themed stuff. Well, that would be a cool set to give kid. Well, there you go. Now you got something you can give him for his next birthday. I have never tried any of Guy Fieri's stuff. But it does sound pretty good. Well, that would work too, Elsie. I'm sure he would flip his lid if he saw that. So I guess you'll have to keep that one on the down low. Oh, cool. Like the Sunday morning when my mom and I were in our hotel room, just kind of hanging out until it was time to go to the pavilion where we had my nephew's wedding. We were watching Food Network and a show that he was doing, that he was a part of. He was in there. It's pretty much the only thing interesting on TV, because some channels, they're on the channel list, but they were blocked for some reason. You know how some cable companies stopped carrying a certain channel because the company that has that channel wants to charge more for a cable or satellite provider to carry it. So there's a lot of negotiating going on. Uh, we did not get to take in the zoo while we were in St. Louis. We had a dinner cruise on one of the paddle wheelers that run up and down the Mississippi. We did that in Hannibal, but that was only a 1 hour ride on a paddle wheeler. But in St. Louis, it was, I think, about 3 or 4 hours on that boat. They had the dinner, and then they had a band playing. And of course, it rained. So people were staying underneath the top deck to stay out of the rain. We went to a cave, but I don't think it was called Tom Sawyer's Cave. But they had remodeled the entrance so that it was wheelchair accessible. And because one of the kids that I went with actually uses a wheelchair, he was able to go down in there. They had widened some of the passages so that it was easy for a wheelchair, and they had made ramps so that it would be easy to walk through. And for a wheelchair to go through, so. I think they called it Mammoth Cave. I think mammoth as in the size of it. I don't know if that's the same cave that you're talking to. And then we had lunch in a restaurant, and the sign on the table that I sat at said Renowned Liars Table. Yeah, yeah. It was called Mammoth Cave when we were down there. I think just because of the size of it. I don't think anything related to a mammoth was found in there. There is CR or Shadow Scout Suite in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Saying good morning. This was 1984 when we were down there, so we didn't even know about a cave named Tom Sawyer. But that restaurant, which I forget the name of, had the renowned Liar's Table. And I and one other in our group sat at that table. We thought that was funny. I slid my tray over a little bit to the left so that my film mount, which is right here, would not completely cover up the cookie. A very crumbly cookie, very dry, but still pretty good. But yeah, we had a good time on that trip. We did go to Six Flags. That's down there in St. Louis. And a couple of people got stuck in the Thunder River, which is a bigger version of a ride that used to be here at Adventureland until they closed it down because there were some issues, some incidents with the Raging River, as it was called here. But down there they call it the Thunder River. And two of my classmates were in one of those round boat things, and it somehow got pushed up on some of the rocks on the side and ended up under a waterfall, and they were stuck under there for an hour. And so by the time they got back to our bus, they were thoroughly drenched. So they had to hang up their clothes in their shower so that they could dry. Yeah, there were a couple of probably similar incidents with those round boat things getting stuck on the side. I think at one time one flipped. And now this is the one here in Des Moines at Adventureland. Yeah, that's what I said. eBay will have these trays in different colors, different prices. You can get them in like groups or lots. No, this is referring to a kid that was in the Raging River at Adventureland here in Des Moines. He died because of a problem with the Raging River ride, one of those boat things either flipped or something like that. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but a kid died as a result of that. And so that ride was shut down. And I think this winter it will be completely dismantled and taken out of there, and something else will go in its place. Adventureland has another one called, I think it's just called a log ride, but it doesn't have any twists and turns. It has some, like, some dips, but it doesn't go side to side or anything like that. So that one is a safer one. Yeah, that I don't remember when that happened, but that one has been an issue for a number of years, so that one is completely gone. That will never be used again. And now that Labor Day has passed, Adventureland is only open on weekends until I think a certain date. It will close completely until the spring. And so they may take that ride down and, as I said, replace it with something else. This is just my guess. But we have a water park that is nearby Adventureland. It's called Adventure Bay. And your Adventureland ticket actually gets you into the Adventure Bay area. And that's all water stuff. Yeah, they got a wave pool, they got water slides, and yeah, swimming areas and things of that nature. But it's been a few years since I was last at Adventureland. I think the last time I went, I was a chaperone with to a school group. In case you haven't figured it out, Tim lives here in Iowa as well, so he knows a lot of stuff that goes on here. Probably more than I do. Yeah, when I was a counselor at the Des Moines YMCA camp during my high school years, and my sisters were as well. My brother was not old enough, but because we lived on the camp property, we were pretty much all involved in the activities in one way or another. And so we had all of us who were either working or volunteering at the camp. We had a day at Adventureland. And I rode the raging river. Didn't have any issues except for a little bit of grazing on the sidewalls. But that was pretty much it. So that day we didn't have any problems. But I know the next time I go to Adventureland, which will be who knows when, I have no idea when I'll get to go there again. There will be something else in its place. But I'm sure back in '84, after two of my friends got stuck on the Thunder River in Six Flags, they probably had to do a little bit of investigating as to why it happened and why they were stuck there for an hour. There you go. And Shadow Scout Sweet is going to have his morning coffee. Girl, it is morning there for him and Folks. They're a time zone apart, I believe. So Infos is up early to watch this stream. Yeah, I had never been to Riverview Park because I've only actually been living in Des Moines since end of December of '87 was when I came back up to Iowa from Arkansas. But there is a Facebook group and a page for the fans of the old Riverview Park. And at one time there were plans for different areas of that location. So I haven't really kept up with that much. So I don't know what has been happening with that particular area. Just like there's a Facebook group for fans of the old floppy show. This was a locally produced show on Channel 13 here. It's out of Des Moines. And the puppeteer's name was Dwayne Elliott. And sorry about that brief disconnect. Yeah, the puppeteer's name was Dwayne Elliott. He had a little box that he would stick his hand into. And then inside of that box was a little dog puppet. And so he was voicing Floppy, that little dog puppet. I didn't know the word ventriloquist or ventriloquism at that time, but that's basically what he did. And he would have different guests on the show. And I think there are kids on the show. But I'm actually in that Facebook group that's dedicated to Floppy. And Floppy is actually in a display in the State Historical Building, which is just a few blocks west of the Capitol Building. So he is part of, that's what Crooked fixed that. So he is part of the permanent collection there. And WHO probably still has in their archives, their video archive of the Floppy episodes. And there's probably other things related to Floppy in the State Historical Building. I haven't been in there for a few years. They've been doing some renovations inside and on the outside of that building, so I probably won't go back in there until all of that is completely done. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't have any clue about one chip challenge. I have never gotten any of those. One chip challenge is basically a very, very intensely flavored, possibly exceedingly hot, single Dorito style chip. And you pay a lot of money for just one chip. And I guess you, if you can eat the whole thing without having to call the fire department, I guess you survived the challenge. Or maybe the idea is to do it on camera. But I consider that a waste of money. If I'm going to spend that amount of money on something to eat, it better be more than just one chip. Personally, if I had that, I would use it as a fire starter, because from what I've seen on other channels, people have actually used Dorito chips as a fire starter. They would light some of them up and then put their kindling on top of that to get their fire going. That'd be nice to visit Sweden as well. I watch a couple of different channels from Sweden. One is called Swedewoods, and he does primarily camping. He has a boat and he may go fishing. He may travel from place to place during his trips, or he just hikes from place to place. He camps in all kinds of weather conditions. Sometimes he will just use a tarp, sometimes he will use a Polish lavu. Or sometimes he may do something completely different. Yeah, plane tickets are outrageous. You'd have to get on a boat to come across a pond to get here, and that would take a long time. Well, Tim, that's probably as close as you're going to get. Is that, well, not so little shooter that you got? I have never had the opportunity to shoot anything like that. Back in '83 at a summer camp, they had a rifle range, and they had your basic 22s and then the 12 gauge single shotguns. And so we shot those, and I'd put every round in the dirt. My distance vision sucks for aiming. Uh, my brother had a basic pump action Daisy BB gun that looked like a 22. And so we used to shoot it. I think my younger nephew has that. I don't think my brother still has it. I think he gave it to my younger nephew. Yeah, because he's more into the outdoor sports than my older nephew. My younger nephew stayed in Scouts all the way through his senior year of high school. So he was an Eagle Scout for 2 years. But those are the only long ones I ever shot. Was was those two at the camp range, and then my brother's Daisy. I got a Daisy pistol, but it's almost too big for my hands. Someone told me that it looks like the size of a Beretta, some Beretta model, but that's it. I've never, of course, I did shoot an AR, but that was that was pretty dang heavy, and I had a hard time trying to look through the scope because my glasses and scopes or binoculars or monoculars, they just don't mix. Well, just kind of shooting the bull and missing, Mike. That's pretty much it. Somehow got into what we used to do back in the day when we were younger. Tim mentioned he had certain kind of rifles, so I said, well, I back in '83 I shot these two, and Shadow Scout Swede shot another version of what Tim had. So we just kind of went down that rabbit hole. And for those that came in late, next weekend I most likely, in fact, I'll just say I will not be live at all next Sunday because I will either be on my way back here from the White Eagle powwow at the usual start time, or may not have even left, or there's a possibility that I may actually stay Sunday night into Monday. I don't know. We'll just have to figure that out next weekend. Yeah, I remember those 12s used to give you a little bit of a smack, but I still had a good time shooting it, just like I had a good time shooting the 22, except I just put every round in the dirt because I can't aim worth a crap. Yeah, yeah, Shadow, you need to get something that will work better for you. But it's been so long since I shot anything like that. I would actually like to go to a range or one where they would actually let me try different ones because it's been so long since I shot any of those. Something that's different than that heavy bugger of an AR that I shot. I mean, I had a hard time just holding that thing even close to level, but I still did it. I I put every round in the dirt. But that Johnston one, if it's not on a bus route, you know, just I just usually don't bother with it. Yeah, especially if you put. Some people will put lights on theirs. For instance, Olight makes some flashlights that are about. Let's see, I'll pull one. I just happen to have them handy. Say about this long or maybe longer, but they're made to mount onto the rail. And then you can take it off and just use it as you would any other tactical style flashlight, but you mount it on the business end of that thing, and yeah, that does get a little front heavy. But Tax did not have a light on it. She had a scope on it, and that she didn't have a foregrip on there, which probably would have made it a little bit easier for me to hold if it had a foregrip, but it didn't. But yeah, that it was still a custom build, and it was a big scope with a red dot. But yeah, that thing was pretty dang heavy, but I still managed to get off a few rounds. But like I said, every round went in the dirt. So the last time I was camping at another friend's, I'll just call it their bug out location, I just shot a couple of different 22 pistols and a 9. I think I shot just one person's 9, and then that's pretty much it. But they're a lot smaller than my my BB pistol, and a little bit more comfortable in my hand. So I definitely would go with something a little bit smaller because my paws aren't that big. Oh yeah, speaking of restrictions, New Mexico, I'm going to say is someone is going to be taken to court. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Because someone tried to pull something stupid. And that person is definitely be looking at a court challenge. Here the laws are pretty two-way friendly, and there are not very many knife restrictions. But I generally don't like to carry anything longer than a 3-inch blade, just your basic your basic pocket knife, which I keep mine on my purse. In fact, when I went into the state capitol to drop off some flyers for an event, I told the security guy, what I had in my bag, and I was going to take them out, and he said, "Nah, they'll just show up on X-ray." He never even took anything out of my purse when I sent it through. He didn't ask me questions about the blade I had in there. I just told him, yeah, just basic utility stuff, cutting boxes and just general stuff like that. He didn't give a flip about that. So that was pretty darn cool. So I was able to go to the info desk, get my flyers passed in so they could be distributed. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to ask if they would just kind of keep it there, but he didn't even bother to take him out. He didn't ask me to take him out. Nothing of that. I just threw my keys in the dog dish. And then went through the metal detector. I took my bag and my keys and just went on about my business. Yeah, it's a small enough blade. I don't, some of the bigger ones, they're probably too big for my hands. And I prefer the ones with the little flipper tab anyway. Those are the easiest for me to open. Yeah, Shadow, that sounds a lot like Canadian laws, because from other Canadian channels that I have watched, you have to go through a lot of hoops to even get a permit to have one for hunting. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. The laws here are pretty, I call it two-way friendly. So I know a few people who do carry. They conceal carry. They don't like to open carry. That's just their personal preference. I don't carry my my Daisy because, for one thing, it's just so dang big. So the only time it ever comes out is when I'm going to a place where I can shoot it and there are targets I can maybe hit. Which I did do when I was at this other friend's bug out camp, as I'm choosing to call it. There's a little range there with a bunch of different targets set up at various distances from the shooting shack, as they call it. And so I actually hit one target a few times with my Daisy, and then I think with the 9, I hit one of the other targets, one of the metal targets. So, yeah, that was an improvement over the last time I'd gone to a private range where I put every round in the dirt. I didn't hit anything but dirt. Yeah, and plus, with the way I dress, because I do dress modestly, open would be a little bit too cumbersome. So even if I were to get something smaller than my Daisy, I'll just put it that way, I would probably just have it in my bag. Whatever bag I carry, because I always carry a crossbody bag. And sometimes another tote bag if I have to carry additional stuff. Then I wouldn't go, I would probably go with something no bigger than maybe those 22s and that 9 that I shot. It was last year when we camped at this friend's bug out camp. Yeah, my dad had a 38 special many years ago. But when money got real tight and had a bill to pay, he sold it. And then he sold his muzzle loader a few years after that, again when money was tight. And that was his hunting rifle, was that muzzle loader. He loved hunting with that. But he had to sell it in order to get some money to pay a bill because we are going through some tough times. And so my dad selling that got us out of a financial jam. But he always carried his buck 110. That was the only pocket knife I ever saw him carry. So when I found a buck 110 that looked almost exactly like the one that my dad had, I had to buy it. I could get a taser if I wanted to, but I just prefer to spend what little money I get each month on other things. But I definitely do want to have something that would be an improved protection. I'll just put it that way. I actually used to carry a small pepper spray that was no longer than that flashlight that I showed. But that thing leaked. So I just got rid of it and I never got another one to replace it. I had never used it. In fact, I don't even think I sprayed it once to test. But I think those have improved a lot since I carried one, I think back in the 90s. Probably early to mid 90s. Yeah, but it's not just women who could be attacked. There are men who would carry a pepper spray. You know, there are some people who can't carry a shooter either because of the laws where they live or because of some other factor that prevents them from legally owning one. So they would carry something that does not require a permit. We used to have a law where you had to get what we called a permit to acquire before you could get a shooter. But when the laws got changed a couple years ago, that permit to acquire requirement got killed. So that means I did not have to pay a fee to get this permit and maybe run the risk of it being denied. And that would be out that money that I paid to apply for that. Yeah, but in the northern states along, you know, where bears are, or like in the eastern states along, like in the mountain ranges, although there have been a few bear sightings here in Iowa, mostly in the northern part of the state. So bear spray would not be as popular to get down here or in here, say, and as opposed to someone who would live in Colorado or in the Carolinas or any other areas where there's a lot more bears, because we just don't have that many here in Iowa. Um, since I have never applied for a license of that type, only license I ever buy is a fishing license. And I just get the basic one. I don't even get a trout stamp. A trout stamp because I don't go where I could fish for trout. But yeah, I have never applied for a license for a shooter. Yeah, you can get a concealed carry permit. My younger nephew still gets his concealed carry permit. When it's time to renew that, he'll renew it. But no one else in my family carries. There is Chicago in the house. Thanks for dropping in. But one of our legislators who had been attacked numerous times in the past because he's black and the fact that he was Muslim, he decided that he needed to carry, so he does. He conceal carries. And he uses a shoulder holster for it. that just works better for him instead of on a belt. Yeah, Akil Abdul Samad. Yeah, I live in a district next to the one that he represents, so I am in Ruth Ann Gaines's district for the Iowa House of Representatives. But I have known him for years. He started an organization called Creative Visions, and they serve a Sunday meal, and they have other programs for the neighborhood, especially for the teens and young adults. Yeah, when he's not at the Capitol building, he is either at the Creative Visions location or he is doing some other kind of outreach. He goes and gives speeches and things like that, does things like what you did, Tim. He, he still does that. No, I don't have any MRE pancakes. That would be the maple muffin top. Would be the closest to an MRE pancake. But basically, this is menu 2 HDR packed by Sopacko in 2019. Let's see, where's the date on that? Actually, this may not be 2019. Because I'm just looking at the FRH. 11/6. See, 1166. That might be a Z there, not a 2, but a letter Z. So this could indicate 21. This may be 21 pack. Or a 22 pack, but the mains are from 2019. See, I'm going to look at the... There's a couple of stamped things right here on the crackers, but the seam looks like the stamping was done before this seam was closed. So that kind of obliterated the date on there. But I guess I will have to name this as a 21 pack. I don't see a date at all on the Pop-Tarts. Looking around the edges, it's kind of hard to see on this shiny packaging. Can't find a date on the other cookie, but I guess I'll just go by what's on the FRH, which has a first digit of 1, which would indicate 2021. So when I go to edit this stream, the title, if I get a U.S. ration, if I can, when I date it, I'll go and put the date in the title when I go to make any text edits after the stream is done. And I go to add this stream to my ration food review playlist. That's when I make any additions or corrections in the title. So I'll label it as a 21 pack. And I can put in a description to say that it was packed by Sopacko. I have never seen a House Hippo commercial, so I wouldn't have any idea about that. I don't remember seeing anything like that. That might not have been on the channels that I would have been watching at the time that those are airing. Yep, Tim, if you are the right distance away, depending on what type you're shooting, and you hit certain areas, you can do some serious damage. Yeah, we used to shoot at coffee cans on a fence post back in the day when we were shooting my brother's daisy pump action. And we dinged up quite a few of those cans and stuck a few BBs into the fence post itself. That might have been a Canada thing, because I'd never heard of house hippo down here. I don't know if that refers to bean bags. Because that's a term that I am not familiar with at all. Well, I will have to look at that later, because yeah, if I open that up, I don't know if that would I mean, I can open it, but I won't play it because I don't want it to kick off the stream till I'm ready to kick it off. Oh, so it was a spoof, like a parody. Yeah, that's yeah, I will check that out later. Still a bit of this cocoa mix kind of got stuck on the bottom. Yeah, this stuff had the mouthfeel of a protein drink. But, but it doesn't taste bad at all. That could have been a Canada thing because, you know, like Tim and I said, we'd never heard of that before. And Shadow had never heard of that before, so that might not have made it down here. There's the Carlos Perry in the house. That's okay. You got your your little iguana buddy to take care of. But basically, what I did, I opened up the LaBriute accessory pack. LaBriute is a successor to My Own Meals for kosher and some halal rations that are used by the U.S. military, in addition to the halal MREs that Sopacko does. So I opened up that accessory pack. I got two of those from Mike Kreischer in that big old box of awesomeness that UPS nearly destroyed. But this one has a mil-spec F4H, and their snacks are in packaging like this, as opposed to more of a commercial type packaging. Oh, this cookie's upside down. But these are packed by LaBriute. They're out of Illinois. So I took some elements from that. And this HDR had peanut butter instead of the sunflower butter. There's the peanut butter. Then strawberry jam. This one had 2 cookies instead of the smoothie. This one had the oat milk cookie, and these do have cinnamon in them. Then it had a shortbread cookie, which I ate, and it tastes just like your average sugar cookie. And the Pop-Tarts are a double stack of the brown sugar, not frosted. Let's see. Oh, here we go. You can see it better. Unfrosted. So this is a double stack. Fused. It doesn't feel like there is any secondary packaging inside there. So I did not eat that. And this one has... Oops. Vegetable crackers. I like these better than the plain ones. So I will enjoy these another day. And then the items in the accessory pack, something got on them during packaging. So the spoon looks clean. It feels clean. Except for one little spot right there. Actually, that feels more like a scratch. But look what happened to the matches. Something leaked onto the matches during the assembly of the accessory packet. And see, this should not be open like that. The LaBriute accessory pack came with see the staple that is there and keeps this from opening up. It is there, but it's either something leaked on it or moisture got on it, causing it to rust. I don't get a smell off of that spot, but and then the wet wipe was next to the matches. So this is the pepper pack. There's a stain on there. And there's a bit of a stain, very faint, on this sugar. And even the napkin is a crushed red pepper packet that was in that accessory pack also. But it appears to be clean. Although there's something crusty on the outside. And then this napkin right along through here, it feels like there is something in there, somehow embedded into the paper. Like that. See, it just ripped, so. You should not be hearing that when you open a napkin. Yeah, so something got all over this. So whatever happened on the packaging line for that accessory pack, quality control was just completely absent. Well, I will be 58 in January, so I'll still call DeCarlos a bit of a youngster. Of course, I think DeCarlos gets some of that from that excessively adorable little sprout. That kid is way too cute. Well, I've finished everything here. Well, these are Atlas matches, but you can barely make that out. Atlas provided the matches to LaBriute. This is from their accessory pack. This is from the HDR. Oh, what the heck happened there? But, let's see. Next Sunday, I'll say it again, I will not be live because I will either still be at Jester Park or I will be on my way back from there after the close of the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow. So I will take pictures and possibly shoot some video of some of the performances and maybe do a vendor tour when I get a free minute when I'm not doing the kids' crafts. But the week after that, I may pull out one of the rations that Mike Crusher sent me. I got 2 RCIRs, one marked halal with the old green stamp, and then the other one that is marked without pork, but it's printed in black as part of the regular printing on the box. And then I have Chef 5-minute meals, vegetable lasagna, and that one comes in a tub instead of a retort. And I have an MRE. I got another spinach fettuccine MRE. I messed with that one so many times that I probably won't even bother doing that one on camera anytime soon. Have a good night, DeCarlos. Thanks for dropping in. And then I have another one of those Minotaur freeze-dried survival rations. That's a single meal in a smaller box that would fit inside of an RCIR box with room to spare. Plus I got all those other items, so I got plenty of stuff now to make meals out of. And because I saved these things here from the HDR, this will just add to my stash. But this vegan lemon cookie definitely sounds interesting. So, roasted and salted peanuts, definitely what would be a good fit for an MRE. Yeah, my mom will turn 81, or no, she'll turn 80 in October. And my dad would have been 81 this year had he lived and not been taken by cancer back in 2008. My mom is in the same boat as your parents are, Shadow. She is not in the best of health, but she still travels when we do family trips. She uses a walker, and that's kind of hard to do on grass because where they actually did the wedding ceremony was on grass and not in the pavilion with a flat concrete surface that would be easy for her to roll her walker on. Yeah, you gotta get some sleep for school. Well, I have passed 3 hours. So I will probably go ahead and shut this down myself so some people can enforce bedtime rules. Yeah. Yeah, because my dad and my maternal grandmother died from cancer, and I've had other relatives either die from it or related, you know, effects of it, or they actually lived to tell about it and they beat their cancer. I know that jacks my cancer risk because of that, so I don't want to get it. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. Yeah, that would not be fun. So, in 2 weeks, I will make a decision on what I pull from the old ration box. But before then, when I get home from the powwow, I will have hopefully some pictures and some video of some of the performances and maybe some other things. I will grab a few clips. And I will probably do at least one more. I'll probably do another deck garden update before, after I get back as well. Because I put one up today since I didn't get to do it yesterday because I was busy at the mosque with the open house. And who knows what else will come my way. And I will have a shopping haul video before I take off too, because I'm going to do a little bit more grocery shopping. I really haven't done much of that. I picked up a few things here and there, but I haven't really gone after the food yet. But I will get that done probably in the next couple of days. So I will get that up before I head out for the powwow. And because I'm going to be sleeping in one of the teepees, I will show you how I will have that set up on the inside. So that's just a little teaser what will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Again, I want to thank Mike Kresher for sending that big old box of goodies. Yeah, chemo sucks. Cancer sucks. But I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Anyway, catch you on the flip side.